In today's video, I am going to explain Elizabeth Emily Dickinson's poem, Hope is the Thing with Feathers. Dickinson was an American poetess. She had composed nearly 1,800 poems in her lifetime. However, very few of them achieved publication while she was alive. And welcome back to the channel, friends. This is Behjubin. Before I dig into the explanation part, I'll go through the poem line by line. Let's examine the lines. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I have heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. Hope is the thing with feathers. The poetess begins by comparing hope to a bird that has feathers. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul. So hope, desire, wishes, dreams, hope is something that lives in the human soul. It sits there for a long period of time in the soul. It resides in the soul of people and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And hope is something, our dreams are something that sing their own sweet tune. They may not have some specific words, but still they have music. They sing to a particular tune. Our hope is something that has a tune. It sings to a tune and it never stops at all. We never become hopeless. We are always having hopes. This is what the poet means. Even in the most extreme of circumstance, even during our worst phase of life, we never stop hoping. We always hope for the best. However unfortunate, however ugly, however painful our personal or professional circumstances may be. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches, means sits in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. Hope is a thing with feathers. It is like a bird and it keeps the hearts of people warm because it shows dreams of some good times in the future. And sweetest in the gale is a storm that blows in the sea. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and even in the most adverse, most unfortunate circumstance, hope never keeps on burning. Our desires are always there, our wishes are always there, our wishes never die. So even in the gale, even when there is a powerful storm, we do not stop hoping. And sore must be the storm, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird. And only something very devastating can break our hopes. Something terrible, something very horrendous, horrific can wash away our hopes. Otherwise, hope is so strong, hope is so permanent, hope is so continuous, hope is so everlasting that it continues to sing its own sweet tone or its own sweet tune even during the most unfortunate of situations. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash means embarrass or hurt or upset the little bird. Which bird? That is hope. Hope is being personified here, that kept so many warm. Perches means to fly and sit down on something. Gale means a storm at sea. Sore means rough or harsh. Abashed means to upset or to embarrass. And extremity means extremely difficult times. We also have some examples of alliteration here, like for example, without words. The first letters have the same sound, WW sound. So without words, this is an example of alliteration. Another example of alliteration we have here, sore, storm. Then one more example of alliteration, dat, the. This is another example of alliteration. Then hope is the thing with feathers. This is also, the first line is also a metaphor. So the poem begins with a metaphor. And gale is being personified here. So gale is an example of personification here. Then the poetess goes on to say in the third stanza, this is the final stanza of the poem, I have heard it. I have heard whom? I have heard the song of hope. I have heard the music of hope. I have heard it in the chillest land. That means even in the coldest of places, hope is always alive. And on the strangest sea, even in the most terrible conditions at sea, hope never stops. Hope is always singing its tune. Yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. Hope is something which is selfless. This is what the poetess is saying. That hope is always giving us. Hope is making us warm. Hope is giving us comfort. Hope is something which is giving us solace. Hope is giving us peace. But in return, hope does not ask anything from us. Hope is very different from human relationships. In human relationships, there is always give and take. If we give something to others, we will expect something in return. But hope is selfless. Hope is always there to keep people's hearts warm. But in return, hope does not take, hope does not snatch anything away from us. Hope is always giving, but never asking anything back. This is what the poetess is trying to say. And we have more examples of alliteration here. Strangest sea. Then extremity. This word, we have capital E here. So this is an example of the poetess's unconventional use of capital letters in her poems. So in most of her poems, Emily Dickinson, she uses capital letters. Some of them may not be directly, may not have their own specific meaning, but these capital letters are there. So these are some special characteristic of her poems, these capital letters. And moreover, she also uses a lot of unconventional punctuation marks which are not exactly required, but she uses them in certain areas of her poems, like we have here dash here, another dash here. So the poem depicts, it depicts Emily Dickinson's peculiar use of punctuation marks as well. With that, I come to the end of today's video. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.